Hello and welcome to State of the Union. I'm Stefan Grobe in Brussels. Usually, when you go on a business trip that is ill-prepared, ill-advised and ill-timed, you don't get the return on investment that you have hoped for. And when your investment is political capital, it might be lost forever. An experience that Europe's foreign policy chief just made. Coming back from his trip to Moscow, Josep Borrell faced an avalanche of criticism, of which humiliating and disastrous were among the more modest characterizations. Failing to push back against his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, Borrell had to endure further insult by learning about the expulsion of 3 European diplomats from Twitter during a working lunch. One of the diplomats was from Poland, a country that is used to Russian maneuvers of all sorts. Poland's president was unequivocal in his dressing down of Borrell, despite the diplomatic language.
Pan Borrell powinien był się domagać, aby
Mr. Borrell should have demanded that Mr. Navalny be released and that political harassment be stopped.
Taki cel w ogóle nie został zrealizowany.
This goal has not been achieved at all, and I would go further and ask a basic question. What was the purpose of this visit in this case, and what did it bring not only to Mr. Borrell, but above all to the European community?
Nie tylko panu Borrellowi, ale przede wszystkim co ona przyniosła nam.
And I'm counting on the fact that these questions will be answered.
Ja liczę na to, że my taką odpowiedź uzyskamy.
Borrell defended himself in the European Parliament, but more than 70 members demanded his resignation or removal regardless. He wasn't the only one in the spotlight. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was grilled by the people's representatives after taking flak for the slow vaccine rollout. She admitted failures, but tried to explain away the botched process on technical grounds. There is not a compromise we can make when it comes to injecting people with biologically active substances into an individual with good health. And that's the reason why we rely on the EMA procedure. And yes, that means that the approval takes from 3 to 4 weeks more. The European vaccination strategy has been criticized from many angles. One is, of course, the question of who gets the vaccine when and who gets it first. Joining me now is Dr. Julian Tang, a clinical virologist in respiratory sciences at the University of Leicester. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Now, Julian, you suggested in a recent op-ed that we're getting the vaccination strategy entirely wrong by not focusing on young people and only on the elderly and healthcare workers. What is your main argument?
So the idea is that you immunize the young people to protect the older people. And so if there's no source of virus in the young people, then the older people are actually not exposed to any danger. Okay? And also, if you immunize the younger adults, they can actually go back into the economy, open up the businesses, the shops, the services that old people tend to use normally. And you also allow other young people who are customers to then support those businesses. And if they're all immunized, all protected, there's no source of virus for the old people to be infected from. And this actually solves, 2 problems: the economy, also the service industry, including the schools and the universities.
Now, you also said that prioritizing the young will not necessarily have an adverse effect on the older population. Why is that?
If you immunize the source, okay, for the older people, then the source that the children, the younger adults, when they go about their working lives, don't really pose a threat to the older people, because although they may not be immune yet, okay, there's no virus or very little virus circulating in the younger population to actually expose the old people. So it's really a kind of 2-pronged approach. You protect the elderly, but you also remove the source of the virus in the younger population, so that the elderly are protected in both ways. If they get exposed, they're immune because they've been vaccinated, but also you remove the exposure from the younger population that may spread it because they have more contacts.
We know it. Families who are stuck at home during lockdowns are struggling to keep kids and teenagers busy and happy. Yet it's a tough situation for youngsters. Do you fear any long-term impact on children having been confined for so long?
I've heard mixed feedback from children. So the children who are used to using IT and iPads and laptops and have good internet connections, they're okay. They network game, they network chat, and they're used to this type of environment more than, for example, the children who are less advantaged, who don't have access to multiple laptops, iPads, etc., aren't used to the internet, are more used to face-to-face environments, and also how they've been brought up. Because if you are brought up in a very IT related household, this won't be such a problem, and kids may love interacting on the internet, they're used to it. But if you're not, this will be very alien to them, and those kids may suffer more of a trauma, including the parents, than otherwise.
All right, Dr. Julian Tang from the University of Leicester. Thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hope it was useful.
The elderly, of course, are still the most vulnerable and most at risk of COVID-19 and of death. That's why pictures of seniors getting a jab are always heartwarming. This week, Europe got to know its oldest human being, who got COVID in mid-January and survived it. After weeks of being isolated from other residents of her retirement home in southern France, Sister Andrée celebrated her 117th birthday on Thursday. A member of a Catholic charitable order she had joined in 1944, she made it through 2 world wars, 3 French republics, and 19 French presidents. Now she wants to enjoy life again, which for her means eating lobster and having 1 glass of wine per day. Of course, we wish her all the best and a full recovery. That's it for this edition. I'm Stefan Grobe. Thank you for watching. Have an excellent week.